On the night of January 3rd, 1777, George Washington and the American Army found themselves in a tough spot. After beating the Crown forces in Trenton for the second time in a week, the Americans were trapped with their backs to the Delaware River. There was no way to retreat, and they faced a stronger enemy, much stronger. Aides to the British commander, Lord Cornwallis, urged to strike Washington that night, but Cornwallis said not to worry. "We'll bag the old fox in the morning." The old fox had other ideas. Late that night, Washington came up with a daring plan: march away in the dead of night and beat the British for the third time in 10 days. Leaving behind a small group of soldiers to keep the campfires burning and make noise to fool the British, Washington's men slipped away silently to the east under a waning crescent moon. Then they turned north and marched 14 miles through sub-freezing temperatures, leaving bloodstains from their shoeless feet on the rutted, pitted road. Destination: Princeton and the British garrison there. At dawn on January 3rd, the American Army was about a mile west of town, resting the men on Quaker Road. Washington planned to envelop the town, with the main force attacking along a little-known road revealed to him by a spy. That road was the Sawmill or Trace Road, and the British didn't know about it. But as the Americans marched up the road, the British were marching down a parallel road less than a mile away. The two armies spotted each other and rushed to the fight. The Americans struck first, charging across the Clark brothers' farm fields to attack the British in an apple orchard, but the British rallied, killed General Mercer, and routed the Americans with a fierce bayonet charge. The Americans counterattacked with the Philadelphia Associators, but the British sent them running too. Only the rapid fire of the American artillery prevented a disaster and bought time for Washington. When he realized that the army teetered on the edge of defeat, Washington thundered onto the field, rallied the American army, and inspired his men to stand and counterattack. "Parade with me, my fine fellows," he shouted, and the British broke and fled. But the battle wasn't over. The Americans pressed on. At Frog Hollow, they drove off another British unit and cornered the remaining Crown forces in Princeton's Nassau Hall. Legend says Alexander Hamilton fired the shot that frightened the British into capitulating. The victory was complete. 3 British regiments had been defeated by an army of exhausted men who had gone without sleep or food for 2 days. The American victory gave new life to the American cause. Independence, declared only 5 months earlier in Philadelphia, had seemed close to failure. In 10 days, that ragged American army had changed the course of history. After Princeton, hope burned bright once again. But the 3 American victories at Trenton and Princeton in 10 days changed the course of the war and the course of history. 4 years later, the Americans would force the British to surrender to the Americans at Yorktown. It would not have been possible without the victory at Princeton. Thanks to the valor of those men at Princeton, the nation celebrates its 250th anniversary in 2026 and the 250th anniversary of the Battle of Princeton on January 3rd, 2027.